Let me just give you a hypothetical. So let's say you had a really, and I'll just speak for guys here. You had a brother. And your brother was more successful than you, but he lived in North Carolina and you lived in Texas, so you didn't have to be reminded of it every day. But what if you lived in Los Angeles and your brother lived right next to you? And every year he had a new car and his kids went to a private school. And every time they went on a vacation, they were suntan, they look great. And you got to be reminded every day how much more successful. His wife's got beautiful ring on, looks like a skating rink. She got a new ring and a new car and a new... After a while, you'd be like, enough already. I'm tired of my... We all get that LeBron and the Lakers play in the same building as Kawhi and the Clippers. We all know historically the Lakers matter and the Clippers are irrelevant, right? Did you see what happened last night with LeBron? Oh, yeah, he was amazing again. He's now the best point guard in the league. The Lakers are the best team in the league, 12-2. Statistically, it is unbelievable. He last night, first player with a triple-double versus all 30 teams. He's all over Instagram, giving shout-outs to his mom. He's all over. Oh, my Lord. And the Clippers are wondering tonight, is Kawhi going to play tonight? Because he's missed 5 of the 14 games. When your neighbor's buying a new car and buying his wife a new skating rink to put in her hand and they keep putting it in your face, once again, the Clippers are invisible. The Lakers brand, which has always been bigger, is winning, and their superstar is playing every night and playing his ass off. The Clippers brought in Kawhi. They didn't just bring him in for June. Don't get me wrong. It works in Toronto. It works in San Antonio. But this is an incredibly competitive, distracted market. The beach, the mountains, the shopping, the Dodgers, USC, UCLA, soccer teams, 2 NFL teams, and LeBron shares the building. And LeBron's playing every night. Remember Steve Ball? The Clippers didn't bring Kawhi in just to be icing. They want some cake too. They brought him in to get market share, to get some buzz, to get some headlines, to get talked about. Is he playing tonight? Because, he can't play on back-to-backs, even though he's fairly young. And LeBron's absolutely on fire. You cannot tell me there's not tension in the room in Clipperland. You can't convince me of it. By the way, when Steve Ballmer had that press conference, remember that press conference? And Steve Ballmer's a highly energized guy to begin with. Remember this?
I gotta say, I'm just fired up to be here today. It's pretty cool, pretty damn cool. Woo! You don't think we can win some ball games this year with Paul and Kawhi on our team? We're going to win some ball games. I got to say, being number 2, being number 4, we're only here for one reason. We want to win it all. There's only one reason. From now on, it's all about the Larry O.B.
And if they don't win, let's say, like LeBron gets to the finals. Oh, the way he does when he's healthy every year. You're not winning October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So Lakers going to win all those months? You put all your eggs in the basket. Like for June. I don't think Steve Ballmer did that. I think Steve Ballmer wanted market share. I think he wants a new arena. I don't think he wants to be second fiddle a single day in Los Angeles. And maybe they win, and it doesn't matter. And Jerry West doesn't care today. But when your neighbor's buying his wife a skating rink to put in her finger every other year, and the Lexus and the private school for the kids, and you're reminded every single day, he was always the apple of mom's eye, and he still got it. LeBron is just kicking the Clippers' butt, owns the city, and I get load management. Like, it works. I get it. But I think it works better in Toronto than Los Angeles. We got major market media, major distractions, and LeBron owns this city, and Kawhi on most nights now isn't even playing or competing against him. I think there's tension in the Clipper building. I don't think they love it. I think you can say you'll tolerate stuff, but God, doesn't it sting a little now that LeBron is, the best player in the league, and maybe by like a yard or two? They didn't bring Kawhi in here just for the icing. They wanted a little cake. And the story tonight, nobody's sure if he's going to play, and he's already missed 5 of 14 games. I get the load management. I do think it plays better when your neighbor isn't jamming it in your face every night and getting all the headlines. Via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network, Nick Wright. By the way, I have defended load management, but I think it works a lot better in Toronto than it does in Los Angeles when LeBron's sharing the arena. And I do think the Clippers are looking at LeBron thinking, their guy's on fire. Our guy can't play back-to-back. I could be being hyperbolic on this, but it does feel like it's a complete facial to the Clippers, does it not?
No, this is something you are getting exactly right. Unlike the, if I need one stop, Kawhi. If I need one bucket, Kawhi. That is, of course, if it's every other Tuesday when he's playing. You are now back to reality, which is the Lakers have the best defensive player in the league, Anthony Davis. They have the best player in the league, LeBron James, who in a nice trick in year 17, I'll just become a rich man's Jason Kidd and be the best point guard in basketball and average 11 assists a game, because I've never done that before, so that'll be fun. And yeah, of course, the Clippers are anxious. And I think your analogy is spot on about your better, more successful brother. This is why I had to move out of LA to New York to get away from you. Couldn't stare at you every damn day. And the most important part is, and I hear everyone say it, and all my friends in the analytics community, I get it. Well, as long as they win in June, it won't matter. Because of what they're doing, they might not get to June. I will say it again. Lakers, Clippers, Rockets, Nuggets, Jazz. Those are 5 excellent teams. One of them goes home after round 1. 3 of them go home after round 2. Because of the load management, the seeding the Clippers are staring at could be against, the Denver Nuggets in round 1. Or maybe you beat the Nuggets in round 1, and now you're in Houston for round 2. And so it is an enormous bet. And one last point on this. You said it worked in Toronto. Toronto was the 1 seed the year before Kawhi got there. They went 17-5 without him. They this year are not thriving, but more than surviving without Kawhi Leonard. That is not the team he has with the Clippers, and the Eastern Conference playoff picture is not the playoff picture they have out west. It's an enormous gamble. It would be in any city in the Western Conference, even more so when LeBron James is reminding the entire world, as has been the case every healthy year since year 3, he's the best player in basketball, and it's not even close.
Let me shift to this. Carmelo Anthony came back last night. There's 3 or 4 NBA players I never bought into. Blake Griffin, Derrick Rose, Carmelo Anthony. I'm not denying Hall of Fame level talent. Carmelo will get Hall of Fame votes. He'll get in. That's not an issue. But he was terrible last night. Big shocker. Here's the other thing, though. LeBron James rushes to Twitter last night. Oh, it's so great to have you back. Should be noted, LeBron last 4 or 5 years could have gotten Carmelo on any of his teams. Like LeBron, he's got a bunch of guys last year that couldn't shoot in head cases. He couldn't get Carmelo on his team last year. I could call Nick Wright the greatest.
Wait,
time. I could call you the greatest friend.
You're arguing?
I'm arguing that LeBron went phony on Twitter. Oh, if I kept saying, Nick, you are the best. I love Nick Wright. And we had a bunch of openings on FS1, and it was all the guys you compete against. I mean, this Carmelo thing is nonsense, right?
Okay. Colin, you will be my brother forever, and you becoming someone that I looked up to from afar to now becoming one of my closest friends is one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me.
You darn right.
Understand this. If you are ever washed and I am still in my prime, I ain't inviting you on my TV show. I don't know if that day will come, but it won't be about our friendship. And so, listen, Melo, 14 straight years, 20 or more points per game. First 14 years start his career. The people who have done that are Kareem and LeBron, and there's only 4 people ever, and Carmelo Anthony. So we should put respect on what he accomplished. You said he'll get Hall of Fame votes. Walks in, first ballot, no question about it. But he's in a different phase of his career, and unlike Dwight Howard, Dwight can reinvent himself because Dwight at his best, even when he was prime Dwight, defense and rebounding. So come off the bench for the Lakers, give us minutes of defense and rebounding, and you can be useful. Carmelo in his prime, throw him the ball, automatic bucket. That's a tough reinvention. And there's no shame in this. That entire class of guys, 03 in the class surrounding it. Let's look at it. Chris Paul, different place in his career. Dwight, different place in his career. D. Wade, out of the league. Chris Bosh, out of the league. The only reason we look bad upon Melo is because the one guy who's the face of that generation, LeBron, to bring it back, is still the best player in basketball. And listen, man, the Lakers just didn't need him. I'm sure LeBron called up Jeannie Buss and was like, hey, let's get my guy on the team. And she's like, LeBron, you play basketball for the team. You have nothing to do with personnel decisions. We're not going to take your calls anymore. I'm sure he did everything he could for his friend. It just didn't work out or something like that. Either way, I'm glad Melo ain't on the Lakers, but I'm happy he's in the league. It's all working out for me. Sorry.
You and I got in a Twitter spat. I generally don't get in those. You get in those every day. That is, you love arguing.
No.
I don't at all. I've got my portfolio to tend to. Anywho, the point being is you and I argued about James Harden, who apparently is lighting up November. And I'm like, congrats on that. It means nothing. It will translate to nothing. He'll be exhausted in April and May. And go ahead, have your say now, because I did at the very end of the argument win, which I don't on Twitter much. So go ahead.
Okay, well, it's very interesting. Because you just employed in the beginning of this a strategy I don't often go to, but I do like to have in reserve, which is when I lose an argument, I do claim the other person is just a far more seasoned arguer than me, and that's why. But that's neither here nor there.
All right.
Listen, we've got to be able to appreciate the moment. It can't all be about destination. James Harden might average 40 points per game this year.
All right.
Last year, his team was decimated by injury. He averaged 36 and carried him where they did. The season before, he was league MVP, and they're the only team to threaten the Kevin Durant healthy Golden State Warriors. We're up 15 in Game 7 till it fell apart. And if that means, well, they therefore can't win a title, I just disagree with it. It can't all. Really, really enjoying my large adult Slovenian son, Luka Doncic, and what he's doing. They're not going to win the title.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we can't enjoy what they're doing. He is scoring like Wilt as a perimeter player.
Yeah.
Maybe it's ugly and maybe it won't end in a championship, but I can appreciate the journey, not just the final destination. That's the only point I was making before you tapped out of our debate.
It's actually a reasonable debate. I will say this about James Harden, and in this world of load management, Harden, I don't think Harden actually has done a great job. He's starting to now defending his position, which is dude plays his you-know-what off every night, and he brings it. And if you bring your son to a game in Houston, James plays, scores 40, and you go home on that drive home with your mom and dad, and it's one of the 5 best nights of your career. And I grew up with downtown Freddie Brown, and he played every night. There is a real value in that. I'm sorry it matters. That's your best argument, not the Wilt one you made on Twitter.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, I got to go now. It's Nick Wright, first things first. All right, see you, buddy. Love getting NBA veterans. 15 years in the league, multiple titles, multiple All-Star games. A tough guy, a smart guy, David West. It is an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I met you for the first time this morning.
Yes, sir.
I've been looking forward to this all show. So let's address something that you have proximity to in the last couple of years, the Warriors. It always felt like there was a lot more drama than they would let on. Obviously.
Right.
Can you tell us now firsthand, was there a little more drama, KD, Draymond, Clay, than was being let on?
I think it was more drama than we allowed to get out.
Okay.
Right. We were able to control the environment. But, it was natural because guys are highly competitive. We were there for one reason, like to win on the biggest stage.
A lot of alpha stars.
Yeah. And so, I think initially, we were more or less worried about Steph, and Steph was the one that took control.
He did.
Yeah, he took control right away.
When KD got there, he just said, now, how did he do it?
But before the issue could arise of whose team it was or who was the guy who was going to get the ball to start the game. You know, we saw right away in like the first couple pickup games, like he deferred. Like he was the bigger player and just said, you know what, I'm going to
give KD the ball.
Yeah, we're going to start playing through KD in the fourth quarter. We're going to close with KD.
Were you surprised?
I wasn't, you know, because, you know, Steph is that type of dude. Like
he's smart.
Yeah, man, he knows how to navigate it and keep things, you know, cool. The environment in Golden State is his personality. It's his, you know, it's, you know, just same way in San Antonio, it was Tim's sort of personality. Tim's
low key, work hard, bust arse,
right,
be tough,
right. But Golden State was Steph, and you know that was a part of, you know, his way of sort of leading the group. It was like, look, I'm going to take a back seat. Let's get the ball to KD. I'll find a way to do what I need to do.
And everybody was okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because KD was the new guy. Mm-hmm. Now, KD, and I say this about Aaron Rodgers and KD. Some people are more sensitive. They're on their phone. KD, he's not married. Doesn't have,
right,
Aaron Rodgers isn't married. He sits around on his phone. Is it fair to say KD is sensitive to the phone, criticism, social media? Did you sense it?
I wouldn't say I would say that he's engaged and he knows what's going on. And he's not afraid to interact when he has to interact. Sometimes he shows his hand a little bit, you know, because he lets things bother him. But
he does.
You know, for him, it's more or less being like someone who's trying to maximize what he is.
I get that.
I think KD is absolutely trying to get the most out of who he is and, you know, maximize himself as a basketball player.
Were you shocked, David, he left?
I was.
Where were you? Car, restaurant?
No, I was home, but I just remember. I had spoken to him maybe like a couple weeks before the decision, and then, you know, obviously it talked throughout the year, and I just felt like, you know, he was in a position to really cement himself, you know, get into that sort of legend with the Warriors type thing. I still think he's got a great legacy with the Warriors, but I thought it was the one place he might just say, you know what, I'm cool here. I thought he loved the city, he loved the people.
Did he?
Yeah, I thought so.
Did he and Kerr get along?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's hard not to get along with Steve. I mean, Steve is.
But he and Draymond could wear you out.
Well, I would say
Draymond is.
But you know who Draymond is. Like, Draymond is a guy, is again highly motivated. You know, has like 30 chips on his shoulder. You know, just from people who questioned his ability. So Draymond's never going to change who he is because that's given him, you know, the chance to be great.
Totally get it.
And so KD knows that. And I think the thing with you know, Steve and Dre is, you know, you've got to sort of see who they are, know this is what they've been to be successful, and you figure it out. And I thought KD did a good job of that. He knew what Draymond's the one that recruited him to Golden State.
Was this David West joining us? Was it possible, David, this was like a Hollywood marriage? There was too much wattage. It was just never destined to be a 10-year marriage. KD, Warriors, Steph.
Right.
It's just like you see Shaq and Kobe. You're like, that's great.
It's going to last for a few years. Right.
There's just too much wattage in the room.
Right.
Now does it look like, in retrospect, that was it?
Yeah, well, and I think, you know, we had, you know, Steve did a great job of just managing day to day. The expectations, you know, the pressure that comes with it, but then also the pressure that guys put on themselves. You know, but then the one thing that I thought was most humbling for me in that whole environment is, and sort of gets overlooked, is these guys are unbelievably hard workers. You know what I mean? So even with all of that, all of the success, all of the hoopla and the fanfare around, you know, what they are and what they, you know, potentially could be in terms of all-time greats, the idea of like the consistent work and the consistent effort to be the best at what they do.
What's Gucci Mane say? Work harder, nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Work harder.
Yeah.
Right.
Gucci Mane.
Right.
That's who I draw. Well, are you guys laughing at my Gucci Mane references?
Yes.
David West respects my Gucci Mane reference.
Right.
My staff laughs at me.
Right.
You
Work
can
harder.
just call him Gucci, Colin.
I can call him Gucci?
Yes.
I don't think we're on a first name basis.
Okay.
All right, let's go to this. Load management.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love it. I get it for Kawhi.
Right.
James Harden's making a point. I'm here every night.
Right, he's gonna
LeBron's
play.
like, I'm here every night. Do you like it?
You know, I don't necessarily like it in the general sense of the term. I don't like the term. I think that Kawhi is a special situation because he had an injury, and he's trying to trust himself again. You know, when a guy misses basketball for a year with something, one thing people overlook is the ability to trust yourself and trust your body again. So I think he probably has some of that in there. And then the nature of that injury, the quad. And so I think there may be some specific benefit for him. But as for everybody else, if you're healthy, you should be playing.
That's kind of how I feel.
I mean, it's just
we've both been sick and shown up.
right. If you're healthy,
You play.
You should play. Period. Yeah.
Are you shocked that LeBron's moved a point? The Lakers' offense is seamless. Not that he's just not great, but he is 35 minutes a night, 11 assists a game. Everything works. Looks like Danny Green and him have played together for 10 years. Yeah. Are you shocked at his seamless transition to a new position?
No, I really don't think he's doing anything different than he's always done. I think, probably on those other teams there was more a defined point guard on the roster. I mean, Rondo's on the roster, but I think, he's made that move, but it's a position that he's always played. He's always been a facilitator. You've always been able to play, win games with him handling the ball, him making the majority of the decisions. I do think, though, this is, aside from the Miami cast, this is probably the most talented group he's been a part of.
No, Danny Green can play. Kuzma's 16 a game. Anthony's top.
Yeah.
No, it's a good.
It's a good group.
It's a good group, and it's also a smart group. Last year's team was a little too just goofy.
Right. Not ready.
It's just guys who are 10-day contract guys. Odd person. Nothing against Lance Stevenson, but that doesn't feel like LeBron, Danny Green, AD.
Right.
That feels like LeBron's guys.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that matters. That personality, your star gets along with the other guys.
Absolutely. And those are guys who, because AD is in, I would say, the prime of his career, or not even yet, and he's obviously one of the greats we have in the game now. But playing alongside a guy like LeBron puts him in a position to learn, right, and to figure things out for himself. It allows him to step onto this sort of stage of expectations where people are expecting you to win big, right? Win in the playoffs. He didn't have that in New Orleans. These are things he's going to have to learn, from LeBron. And I think it's going to make him, that's just that much more better.
By the way, you've got a project called the Historical Basketball League, the first college basketball league to enable athletes to benefit from their talent, marketability, hard work. Minute left. What is it?
It's a professional college basketball league. That's what we're working on. We want to create an opportunity for athletes, particularly in basketball, to have an opportunity to share and have an equitable stake in this huge business that they help.
So will they be college, or will they be pre-college, current college, or post-college?
They'll be current college. They'll be current college players in terms of the age. So 18 to 23, we want to be an intermediate step into the pro ranks. Without the confines of the current collegiate system.
It's absolutely great having you on the show. You're a wealth of information.
Appreciate that, man.
And I appreciate your honesty about the Warriors situation. A lot of the stuff we thought was happening. I was a little shocked he left, but it happens in life. David West, you're always welcome back on the show.
Appreciate it, man.
I love old school NBA guys, the best.